This morning, we started getting reports that Vinicius was not going to win the Ballon d'Or. At first, I thought it was a joke. But then there was more and more sources that are reliable that were saying that Real Madrid is actually snubbing the Ballon d'Or, and the entire delegation, Carlo Ancelotti, Florentino Perez, Jude Bellingham, and Vini, Arda Güler, who are all supposed to go to Paris for the awards, said that they weren't traveling. And you start seeing more and more reliable sources. And now it's confirmed that Rodri is going to win the Ballon d'Or, which is literally one of the biggest disgraces in the history of football. There is no question that Vini deserved this Ballon d'Or for so many reasons. And this honestly it needs to be investigated. It's really, this is corruption at the highest levels. Literally stealing the Ballon d'Or from Vini needs to be investigated. And this is something so atrocious. It's so disgusting and despicable that something needs to happen, because there is no way you're going to tell me that the people voting for this award genuinely thought that Rodri had a better season than Vinicius and that he was the best player in the world over the last season. Let's just quickly look at some of the accomplishments that Vini had. He won the Champions League. He won La Liga. He had a goal in the Champions League final. He had 2 goals in the semifinal. He had 2 assists against Rodri. He defeated Rodri. They faced each other and he defeated him. How is it that Rodri is not even in the top 3 for the Ballon d'Or before the Euro starts, and now all of a sudden he is number 1? How does that make sense? He wasn't exactly the guy who carried Spain the way Vini carried Real Madrid last season. Jude Bellingham started very strong for Real Madrid for us last season. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Jude Bellingham was carrying us in the beginning, but when Vini came back from his injury, he took the team across the finishing line. The point is with Vini is, you could not take another football player in the entire world and place him where Vini was, and Real Madrid wins that Champions League and the league. You just couldn't do it. There's no other person capable of doing what Vini did. And that's what makes Vini the best player in the world without a shadow of a doubt. So Vini had a hat-trick against Barcelona in a cup final last season. When it was number 1 against number 2 against Girona, he scored an amazing goal from outside the box. He assisted Jude Bellingham. Again, he had 2 assists against Manchester City, knocked out Manchester City's Rodri's team. He literally got them out of there. And if you're going to say that, oh, because Rodri won the Euros, he deserves the Ballon d'Or, then what about Dani Carvajal? Dani Carvajal, without a question, was the best fullback in the world. He won the Champions League. He won the league. He was man of the match in the Champions League final. Let's not forget that. He scored the opening goal. Before that, it was a competitive game. Carvajal scored the opening goal in the Champions League final. He won the Champions League. He won the Euros. He was a key player in the Euros. In the final of the entire tournament, you cannot question the level in which Dani Carvajal played. So if you're gonna base this on the Euros, then you have to put Dani Carvajal above Rodri. It makes no sense. As a matter of fact, Rodri wasn't even the best midfielder in Europe last season. Any person who actually watches football, who actually studies the game and knows anything about football, will tell you that Toni Kroos was the best midfielder in Europe last season. And now this season, you're seeing how much Real Madrid is struggling without him, because you see how much of a generational talent. Look at how much better Germany was when Toni Kroos came out of retirement. So we're saying that Rodri deserves the Ballon d'Or more than Toni Kroos because there was a handball in the box that didn't get called for Germany, and basically Rodri ends up winning. You can't say that the guy who deserves the Ballon d'Or is because of 5 games. Look, if this is a World Cup season, right, and Spain won the World Cup and Rodri was the key person who helped his country win the World Cup, we're talking about a whole different conversation. But the fact of the matter is, you winning the Euros and losing the Champions League to the guy who should have actually won it, this is truly a disgrace. Now, I want to be careful about what I say, okay? Because I don't want to necessarily blatantly make an accusation here. But the team that's being investigated for 116 financial fair play violations is also the team that has a player who shouldn't have won the Ballon d'Or. I don't know. I'm just saying, somebody look into that. Because is it really a stretch for these guys to do something behind the scenes to make sure their guy gets the Ballon d'Or? 100 journalists are supposed to be the ones who vote for who they thought should be awarded the Ballon d'Or. I'm just saying, man. These guys have so much money. They can make things happen. They can pay the right people. Anyways, that's all I have to say. This is an absolute shambolic disgrace. It's a disgrace. And I'm so happy that Jude, Florentino Perez, Vinicius, none of us, no Real Madrid players, anybody from the entourage of Real Madrid is not showing up to that bullshit ceremony. You know what we should do? Stop having the Ballon d'Or. Just stop it. There's no point in even having the Ballon d'Or. The whole thing is a joke. I honestly want to put myself in the shoes of the people who were voting for the Ballon d'Or. I don't know if this is another situation like Brexit, where people were voting to exit the European Union, and many of the people who cast their votes never believed that it would actually happen. And I just think to myself, how many of these journalists who actually voted for Rodri, if they weren't bribed, actually believe that Rodri should have won the Ballon d'Or over Vini? There's no way you're going to convince me that Rodri deserves a Ballon d'Or. And if you are saying that he deserves a Ballon d'Or, based on what metrics? Because if whatever metrics you're going to use, either it's Vini who deserved it or Dani Carvajal or even Toni Kroos above him. We all also know that UEFA is now involved in the casting of the votes for the Ballon d'Or. And of course, Real Madrid and Florentino Perez are not very popular with UEFA, with the whole Super League thing. In the 2021 season, when we won the Champions League, they gave Manchester City the best club in Europe. They gave them that award. How does that even make sense when we're the team that beat them and we won the Champions League and League that season? But you're going to award them the best team in Europe? It's very clear this whole thing is a joke. It's corrupt. I'm surprised they didn't even give it to Messi. Anyways, that's all I got for this one.